There are efforts underway right now to protect marine life here in our state, especially in the Puget Sound there. Up next, what's being done to help protect orcas during Orca Action Month. Tonight on The Download, we're talking about raising awareness for the threats orcas face every day. June is Orca Action Month, which brings together researchers, advocates, and orca lovers to protect and celebrate orcas of the Salish Sea. Tonight, I talk with Kathleen Callagee, with Northwest Representative for Defenders of Wildlife, about what's being done to protect these animals. Well, Kathleen, thanks so much for joining us here on ARC Seattle tonight. So we're talking about protecting the orcas. Tell our viewers tonight, give us a little background about what's being done to protect the orcas out there and what it sometimes can be pretty dangerous waters for them.
That's correct. So in our waters around Puget Sound, there are 74 southern resident orcas, and that's the entire number of them in the whole world. They're critically endangered. The biggest problem is that they are nutrient deficient. They're not getting enough salmon to survive. And because of that, they've lost a lot of their body fat, which exposes them to threats like all the toxic pollutants that are in our waters that they can't store away in their fat like they normally would. And also Puget Sound is a very busy place. There's a lot of shipping traffic, a lot of boating traffic. So in terms of what's being done to protect them, there is a wealth of programs trying to restore salmon habitat, trying to restore salmon populations, because these orcas are dependent on fish, unlike some of their cousins that feed on marine mammals. There are efforts to get boaters to give them room, give them space while they're out. And in part of what we're focusing on for Orca Action Month is to try and get folks to make sure that all the pollutants that are in our consumer products on a daily basis don't get into the water in the first place.
And what can people do to keep that from happening? I know I've probably had multiple interviews over the last couple of months regarding, not washing your car in the driveway or letting storm runoff go into the drains. And there are a whole bunch of different things that people can do. Why don't you give our viewers a little information on that tonight and what they can do to keep the waters a little cleaner?
Of course, and I'll be honest, it's hard. These substances are in everything we produce, consume, etc. So, but every little bit is helpful. So, as always, I think people in our region are pretty diligent about recycling, reusing. Try and use as little single-use plastic as you can, and recycle it. Don't put it in the trash. Plant a rain garden. Make use of your lawn instead of just leaving it as grass. Those plants are really useful for filtering stormwater, like as you were saying, that gets into Puget Sound and where all these fish and orcas are swimming. One of the things that we are promoting particularly as part of Orca Action Month is a petition to the Department of Ecology to regulate certain substances under the next phase of Safer Products Washington, which is a pretty progressive law that we have here in Washington that allows the state to regulate priority contaminants like PFAS and PPDs and other things that are harmful to salmon and orcas.
Gotcha. When we talk about kind of protecting the orcas, in the Puget Sound region or the Puget Sound where they're swimming out there, and we talk about giving them the space they need when it comes to the ferries and the boats, the vessels that are out there. It's such a busy area for those orcas. I think a lot of the time we talk about that, but I'm not so sure if our viewers know how these vessel operators can give them the space they need to really keep them protected. Are they able to see the orcas in the water? Do they know where they are, or is that something that they just have to guess? I know our viewers are probably interested in knowing that information.
That's something that is, I would definitely bring the Washington Department of the Fish and Wildlife in to talk about. They are currently working on just that kind of guidance for boaters. One thing that we basically say is that if you're close enough to see an orca, you're probably too close. We really want to see them. There are, good ways to interact near them. Basically, if you're around, turn off any engine, be low, be quiet, and just wait until they move on.
So this month is, we heard you say Orca Action Month, but that's the whole month of June. And what else do you guys do during that month to kind of raise awareness about the orcas out there in the Puget Sound that are critically endangered?
We do all kinds of things. So the cool thing about Orca Action Month is that it's run not just by our organization and our partners, but organizations all across the Pacific Northwest. So this weekend alone, we have King County Parks is sponsoring a couple of salmon habitat restoration projects. There are a few of those around the Sound. We have beach cleanups. We have Pints for Pods is one that's great that we have going on in Oregon. Outreach events where we're teaching people exactly about the issues that we're discussing here. We had an opening webinar just last week where we brought on a couple of very decorated researchers to talk about specifically getting into the science of why certain substances are really dangerous for coho salmon, orcas, and people in general. So everything from education to getting out there and participating in cleanup.
And when we talk about this critically endangered species, is there a way to build the population of these orcas, or is it just a very difficult thing to do?
We can't really interfere with their breeding. I mean, it's sort of up to them to recover, but what we can do is give them the best possible chance. And that means restoring our salmon populations as best we can, keeping those toxics out of the water, and just making sure that those programs are funded.
Gotcha. Well, Kathleen, thanks so much for all the information tonight. I know it's so helpful for our viewers here. And thanks for being with us here on ARC Seattle tonight. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.